So when we talk about hidden costs, or for the better sake, the intransparent or the inconsidered cost during the cloud transition, we have to think about the coexisting of the systems which are yet not migrated to the cloud. So in that sense, we talk about a double bubble, meaning that you have to take care of the systems which are still live and the systems which would be going on the cloud, so during the transition phase. The second thing which the firms, I would say, quite often underestimate are the costs related to the knowledge and the skill gaps. So you have to think about new skill sets coming in, while at the very same time you have resources required to run the old legacy. And that's a cost factor which we quite often see and observe underestimated. At the very same point, when the firms are preparing and planning the migration, you have to have enough time to ensure that the migration is done in the proper way, with the required preparedness and also with the required testing for that. So these are, I believe, the costs which you would see during or before the transition. Now, when it comes to the cloud migration, means when you are in the cloud, quite often what we see is that the costs related to the API calls or related to the using of infrastructure for the development environment and also for the production environments, quite often these costs are not as transparent at the beginning as it's supposed to be. So I think the first and the foremost thing during the transition phase and to have a realistic business case is clearly knowing what to do and into what circumstances that transition will take place. Quite often what we see is that the application owners who are owning the old applications do not have the same view in terms of cost leverages or the cost benefits that would come after the cloud migration. So I think if you are planning your cloud migration, have a realistic view on that. Also include your application owners right from the beginning so that the business case associated to it becomes realistic. The second thing I believe is about having a clear and communicable cloud strategy. It is a business transformation. The tone has to come from the top to the down. Quite often the impact or the change is underestimated, and there are costs related to that. The third thing, which is technically, I believe, one of the most cumbersome part, is the migration strategy and the execution of the migration strategy in a realistic time frame. Think about lift and shift of the applications. Consider it to be a simple exercise. In reality, it is not, because you have to ensure that the costs associated with the applications before the cloud migration are going down. So I believe having a clear migration strategy is also important to have a realistic view on the total cost of ownership.